Previously on a Duck and Wrestling podcast.
Raven rules.
Well, I mean, it's.
I don't think that was his saying, but all right.
No? Have a good
Well, hell,
night.
he's from he's the part of the ninja.
It's a nice day. It's a nice day.
Wait,
I fucked it up.
Which, by the way,
In the 90s, I was a Nitro girl.
What's up, Duckers? We are coming at you for the February recording. We got my two boys here. We got a guy who got his nickname from prom night, Mr. Too Hard, Too Fast. And we got that chocolate thunder from over yonder.
That's what I'm
Nathaniel
talking
Hall.
about, baby.
Fellas, what's going on, guys?
Not much, man. Happy February. How y'all doing tonight?
Doing awesome. Doing awesome. Jorge, how's it hanging?
It's all right. It's there.
It's a grower, not a shower, huh?
He's
It's
pretty
a there, not. It's not a hanger.
he's pretty sure it's there. Well, guys, we are getting the February recording going, and we are doing Survivor Series 1990 as per fan request from Facebook. So everybody out there listening, watching, feel free to send us a message, and we'll try to throw whatever y'all want to see into this, because this is for us and for y'all. We're all fans at the end of the day. So let's get rolling, guys. So Survivor Series 1990, November 22nd of 1990, Thanksgiving Day. Kind of forgot that Survivor Series used to be Thanksgiving night, which I couldn't imagine it was hugely popular to buy on pay-per-view.
It was interesting. It was fun. Like it's different time and place, and like it's like sort of like the time-honored tradition of like the Cowboys playing on Thanksgiving, and after you have some really good food, letting you down.
Yeah, the food brings you up. Cowboys or Lions, pick your poison there. Done. But just kind of an overview, man. I loved this show. This was the first time I've ever seen it front to back. I loved it.
So this was on actual Thanksgiving.
Yeah, this was Thanksgiving night of 1990.
Well, then that's even more impressive that that's like a full house.
Especially, yeah, at that time, it's Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because you got to figure it would have to be kind of the hardcore households who are buying this at home. But yeah, for people to be there, it's pretty impressive. But we start out the show with the Vince McMahon intro, iconic. I know, I'm trying. We all know. We've talked about it. We all know. We're gonna leave it at that.
It took me a little bit to realize who it was. I was like, man, who's shitting all over this intro?
God, it only took us like 2.5 minutes to get a fucking ban on YouTube.
Just say name redacted.
But yeah, they so doing the announcing with that iconic grumbly voice, introducing all the teams, and I found it funny because going through all of the teams and everything, like they give each one kind of a team name, and some of them are really good, and then some of them are really stupid, and a couple of them I didn't even catch. So y'all will probably have to fill me in on there, but one of the teams that has Demolition on it, which I think is our first match we'll talk about, has Crush. And I realized fucking Crush has been in 3 out of the last 4 reviews that we've done. He's been on the show in one way or another. Like,
yeah.
I don't know what it is about Crush, but apparently he's all over the place in this time.
I mean, he's a good worker. I mean, that's what you need is somebody that can actually be able to work the towns and territories that you need to work when it's time to work. So, and plus we've been doing a lot of older pay-per-views, so he'll be here a while.
It's funny too, though, because every time we've seen him, he's been like a different incarnation of the character.
Yeah.
So it's like Demolition Crush, Orange Crush. What was the other one? Part of Disciples of Apocalypse Crush.
Yeah. He needs to review WCW so he can do a Chronic Crush.
Yeah. We'll just go for the Forfecta on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they interview the Ultimate Warrior, and the only note I have is like, what the fuck did he say? Like, I could not understand a damn word getting ready for the first match. But George,
there was a guy, I think maybe I don't know who Crush is, but he's behind next to the Warrior, and he like they bring him the mic, and he does this move, or was it? I think something about look at you or look at something, but he's like not even looking at the camera, and he like slowly moves back into the camera.
No, so Crush wasn't part of that team. He was part of Demolition. Okay. So I think you're talking about Kerry Von Erich.
Okay, yeah, the other blonde guy on there.
Yeah, the Texas Tornado.
Yeah. He's like.
Then we wondered why he didn't last in the WWF when he was kind of a foot down on everybody else.
That joke barely has a leg to stand on.
All right, George. So the joke is Kerry Von Erich got into a motorcycle accident and had to have part of his foot amputated. So,
damn, that's messed up.
Yeah, that's why we're.
But then he kept on wrestling with one foot, and nobody knew the difference.
Yeah. Do you think he had like a prosthetic, like a little front half of a foot?
It's actually funny. I was thinking about that originally, but when I went to go watch the Iron Claw movie, they actually he spun it in a way that made sense. So the original story always goes back to he always took a shower with a boot on. But basically he just had a prosthetic foot strapped inside of like a sock. And he just kept it on the whole time backstage. And it was tied in the way that it was tied, the strap was tied up around the prosthetic foot is how he kept it on the whole time. And so you were never none the wiser unless you were looking really hard at his foot and realized it wasn't moving or something. But I thought when he put it together in a movie like that, I was like, okay, I can see how that makes sense versus actually wearing your wrestling boot in the actual shower all the time.
Yeah. Wow, that's wild. But
yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and get into the first match, but before we do, this month's jersey, we got an original 2001 Las Vegas Outlaws jersey, actually purchased at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas by me as a 16-year-old kid out in Vegas doing stuff I shouldn't have been. So
debauchery.
Let's get down to the first match, fellas. So we have the Ultimate Warriors versus a team that I didn't catch their name. It was Demolition and Mr. Perfect. Anybody catch their team name?
The Perfects or something like that.
The Perfect Team.
There we go. That sounds right. Yeah.
See, I mean, I kind of almost hit it on the head.
Yeah, you gave him enough of a thought that he got it. So it was really weird though, because the first thing you have them trying to figure out who's in the match and who's not, and then Gorilla Monsoon and Roddy Piper are like, yeah, 2 guys out, 2 guys in. It's like, wait, so this is like tag team Survivor Series?
They were horrible about like actually explaining things back then.
Yeah.
Like, it was we get it, it's like it's a new, fresh idea, but it doesn't completely have nobody has a full understanding of how to explain it, basically, to break it down. It sounded good at the team meeting table, and then now you tell it to somebody else, and they're like, Oh, okay, I get it. I'm Ron Burgundy.
I mean, I enjoyed it. I figured Lathan would love it because this is just a whole bunch of big guys bumping meat.
Oh man, listen, I am all about the '90s and like early '90s wrestling, late '80s wrestling. Because oh my god, I forgot how awesome all this big man action was. Like titans at a time, they're just bumping meat all over the place. It was
There's,
beautiful.
two of these guys look like they were caught at a bondage fetish thing, and then they were like, "It's not what it looks like. We're actually wrestlers." And then they had to actually become wrestlers so they wouldn't get in trouble.
See,
For
and,
what I-
and,
Hey,
you,
man.
and you say that, and every person listening who's a wrestling fan knows exactly who you're talking about. But like we were talking about before we started, like Piper was so good on commentary, but he kept saying shit that just didn't make sense. So he makes the comment right here. He goes, "Most are individual competitors." Well, looking at him, I'm like, 3 out of the 8 people in this match are individual competitors. Everybody else are tag teams.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't make sense, but this match started out super fast. But
Oh yeah.
it did not last long. Like these big guys wore out really quick.
Yeah. It was interesting to see the athleticism that they tried to portray back then, and then you just have to remind yourself it's a different era and it's a different time. They gave it their best effort. It was fun. It was still fun watching this match overall. I quite enjoyed it from bell to bell. I'm a big fan of just about everybody in this match in their own separate lights, but putting them all together like this was fun. It was this in the '90s, especially during Survivor Series. It's fun to see how many superstars can actually get over all at one time, and yeah, it definitely kept you glued to your seat and entertained.
George, comments?
No, not yet. Not on.
Well,
Not. I'm when you guys are talking about like the big guys and then the slow moving. I'm thinking like later on, like when Dusty Rhodes gets on, and then like Earthquake. That's what I'm thinking of.
oh
And I'm
yeah.
like,
Yeah.
man, I could have been a wrestler back then.
Oh boy.
Oh, we're gonna have some comments about that. But one thing that is
It's
a
not earthquake though, George. It's the Canadian earthquake.
The Canadian Earthquake.
Currently, at this time, they call him. I was watching the Royal Rumble, accidentally getting ready for this the first time, and they referred to him as the Canadian earthquake in there too. And I was like, why is he specifically the Canadian earthquake? And then a Wikipedia search pops up, and I'm like, oh, he was Canadian earthquake. Huh,
there's a
fair enough.
fun fact for everybody. But one thing that really bugged me, and it was probably the biggest thing about this whole show that just got under my skin. Starting in this match and every match after, you have either a count out or a DQ. And we have our first DQ here, and it takes out like all of Demolition, and like it, it got on my nerves. I'm like, they're counting out or DQing people in this match, and you really don't need to. But it got to the point after the first DQ, which I want to say took out all of Demolition and some of the guys from the Ultimate Warriors team, that I had to look it up, and I realized that Kerry Von Erich would be dead in just over a year from this show. Yeah, to see where he's at this moment. He was the Intercontinental Champion, I think, right?
Uh,
I think he
did they put it
was.
on?
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah,
Yeah, he's the Intercontinental Champion at
it's
this
very
time.
brief title reign.
Right. Which honestly, he could have been so much more. Like, I think if he had his head on straight with everything, He was the Ultimate Warrior with more charisma and talent. And I think he
And
could have done a
athleticism.
lot more. But yeah, he was I think he died in like February of 92, something like that. So it was a little bit eerie. But George, I thought you would appreciate this. I don't know if you noticed or not, the Bobby the Brain Heenan, the back of his jacket says brain, but it's in
Old English.
it's Old English, and it looks like the back of it looks like the back window of a truck in South Texas.
Yeah.
All it needs is
Yeah.
a pair of praying hands with a rosary in
or an oil derrick.
it.
Some Mexican named Brian that misspelled Brian.
That's actually where he got his jacket, was just a Goodwill store in El Paso.
It's Art. It's 1993, February 18th.
Okay.
Caravan Air. Yeah.
Okay, so just over 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but still very eerie for a intercontinental champion at like the height of the golden era of the WWF, like just the downfall from there. And it's, yeah, very, very heartbreaking, the Von Erich story. But man, this match really,
Is he the oldest or
no, so the oldest living at that time. So there was a son who died when he was like 2 or 3, 6.
Yeah. He was coming out from school, got electrocuted, drowned in the snow.
Yeah, he got electrocuted and drowned in the snow.
Damn, way to ruin the movie for me.
Right, spoiler alert. And then
well, hold on to your seatbelt because there's a lot more coming. You're about to go on a trip.
not really a documentary, it's more of a snuff film. So yeah, then Kevin was born, and Kevin's still alive. So he was the oldest living at this time, and he's still alive today.
And his family lives on a compound in basically Hawaii.
No, he just moved back. He just moved back to the San Antonio area.
Oh, nice.
Oh, well. They had a thing here. There was a wrestling. The thing. Remember, I texted you guys if I should go to his local thing.
Yeah,
You're like, you should go. Well, I didn't go, and apparently somebody was,
He was there.
Yeah, and I was like, but
yeah, that's.
I probably couldn't have like picked him out of the crowd until somebody would mention it. But
he'd have been the guy running around in no shoes.
That's like a 2% body fat.
Yeah. But this match really reminded me about how good Mr. Perfect was. That dude could have a match with a freaking mop.
Seriously.
Named the
like it was the highlights of his career before his back injury that took him out. But like, man, Mr. Perfect was always so on the money and crisp with his moves and just super athletic.
Yeah.
Even when he came back in like 2003, like even then he was still pretty, for being old and having as many injuries and stuff that he had to deal with as far as his back goes and stuff. He could still put on a great match.
Yeah.
Like it was you mentioned it, and like now I'm looking back at this even more. I'm like, man, there was so much talent that's not here anymore that was in these matches. And like the potential they could have had later on in life if they just like kind of kept a cleaner head back then, to turn a phrase.
Well, he was the victim of that plane ride from hell. That's why his run that was in 2002 that his run in WWE ended.
Because he fought Brock Lesnar on the plane. They actually had a wrestling match.
It was something like that. Yeah.
It almost opened up the emergency door.
Yeah. Yeah, it was something wild like that got him got his time cut short when he returned. But yeah, George, what'd you think of old Kurt Hennig?
I liked him a lot. I don't remember obviously too much of it. I always thought the name Mr. Perfect was like, but I don't remember a lot of his
It was a
matches.
90s gimmicky name.
Yeah, I guess so. He went to WCW too, right? I think that's where I remember him more.
Yeah,
from
he
his
had a
time in
huge run in
WCW.
WCW under his real name, Kurt Hennig.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Then that's where I remember him the most.
And then his son had a big run in WWE, Curtis Axel.
Curtis Axel.
That was his son?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
so,
So I.
But you might.
Go ahead.
I was going to say real quick. I did realize this as I'm watching. I'm rewatching it again now. This first match because it was so awesome. The majority of this match are people from Minnesota, and it's weird because Minnesota is like I didn't realize how big of a hotbed it was for like wrestling in itself, and then it's like most of the active roster right now in this ring is from Minnesota. Like you're talking about the Road Warriors from Minnesota, Kurt Hennig, Rick Rude, best friends from Minnesota. They all went to high school together. Like these are all friends that grew up together.
Wow.
And it's kind of cool in a different perspective as well. Demolition, they went to school. They all went to school, same high school, just different years. And they're friends, brothers and stuff. And I'm like, there's some big hoss motherfuckers coming from Minnesota.
Yeah. Yeah, and all former AWA guys too.
Yeah. But they didn't have to pick them back then for talent because these are some hefty boys.
Big men bumping.
Jeez Louise. Yeah. And like literally, Kurt Hennig and Kerry Von Erich are the two smallest people in this ring by size and stature, but like it's crazy how athletic everybody is and how everybody can keep their own kind of like wind about themselves for a while.
And to call Kerry Von Erich a small guy in this match is crazy.
Yeah. I don't mean that with disrespect. He's just literally the smallest guy in the match. Him and maybe the Ultimate Warrior, almost by like 2 pounds.
Well, let's go ahead and rate the match. Lathan, what'd you think, man?
Oh man, definitely was a good way to start the whole series of matches that are about to open the show. I gave it a solid 3.5.
Nice, all right. Jorge, what'd you think?
I think it started off pretty well. It gave me high expectations. So I might do 3.8.
Damn.
I was entertained. I was like, this rest of this pay-per-view has got to be good.
Yeah. Well, then I'm going to come in here and be the party pooper hater that I normally am. I would have put it into the solid 3s, except for the DQ shit that happened. Like eliminating the Road Warriors and Demolition that way, it was like I know that they were trying to protect people by countouts or DQs or whatever, but I hate shit like that. So I gave it a 2.6.
I think
I'm leaving. I'm done with this. I'm not recording the rest of this with you.
Didn't in the last recording, didn't I say, or one of the recordings, that I wasn't a big fan of the Road Warriors?
Yeah.
I think that's why I was like, okay, they're gone. The match got better.
Yeah. The match turned into like a big athletic bout all of a sudden.
Look at all them mushes.
Yeah.
All right. Funny. So the next matchup we have the Dream Team versus the $1 Million Team. This is, I would say, one of the most iconic matches of all time. Any argument from y'all?
Nope. I peed my pants after this match. For context, I was 6. For context, it was a 6 or 7-year-old Lathan watching this with his grandpa, and one of the very few times we actually got to experience watching wrestling almost live, and with the introduction of one man in this match, And so I've told him this to his face, and he giggled just as much. So,
it was. This was by far one of my most favorite matches of all time. So the DiBiase versus Dusty Rhodes rivalry just seems so logical and makes so much sense. It's almost like kind of a more gimmicky version of Rhodes and Flair from back in like the 80s. And I'm here for it, man. I loved it.
yeah. A modern day story tell its oldest time. The common man versus the rich man.
Loved it. But
Hell yeah.
even with that, like, and y'all, if I'm off base with this one, please tell me. Fucking Greg the Hammer Valentine with the black hair, he just looks so out of place.
Yeah, he did.
You're out of pocket.
Oh, I remember this because it was when he was actually partnering with the Honky Tonk Band. That's why he has the black hair. Yeah.
They're rhythm and blues.
Yeah. That's why. Okay. I was trying to remember why they put this together because this is one of those matches I had to watch muted because I was at work watching this for transparency. But yeah, Greg the Hammer Valentine in general looked kind of awkward and out of place. Like I remember I was watching something else around the same time era with him, and he kind of reminded me of like a chubbier, shorter, stockier version of Hulk Hogan.
It's a weird, I don't see that.
No, he was wearing yellow trunks. That's why I really brought it around.
That's it. It was. Well, I saw him in yellow trunks, so.
I'm wearing yellow chunnas because I peed myself just now.
George is on. George, what day are you on the same pair of chunnas?
When was the last recorded?
Well, it was long enough ago that the Cowboys were still in the playoffs.
Hey.
Oh, womp womp.
Womp womp every fucking year. Speaking of fucking, under fucking Taker. So we see the debut of probably the biggest WWF, WWE character of all time. I mean, you can argue The Rock was a bigger superstar, Stone Cold Steve Austin, whatever. But as far as longevity, character, personal development of that character, you can't argue with The Undertaker being the number one on that Mount Rushmore of characters.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was always crazy because he always found a way to stay relevant in the decades and the eras to come. And it was never a time where he didn't stay relevant in some way, shape, or form. It didn't always have to be for a title, but he always stayed in a title chase or in a title scene or maintained one of the better character arcs in each of his storylines throughout the last 30 years. So entertaining. Absolutely.
Yeah. George, what'd you think about that red hair mullet coming to the ring?
It caught me off guard. It's not natural, right? That's not as...
No, the red is natural.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he dyes it black.
Yeah. He's a ginger.
Wow. Usually they don't grow up to be that tall. Just kidding. But I really like that one close up to the fan. That one guy and I'm like, that's my face right now. And I was thinking, I wonder what that guy would say right now. Like if he's still around, what he would be like. I saw the Undertaker's debut.
Yeah.
Fucking old.
Yeah. 33 years later, 34 years later this year. It's amazing and the iconic call from Piper, look at that ham hock.
Yeah. Oh man, again, Piper's announcing was all over the place on this one.
And you gotta give credit to the camera guy for doing those shots up because it makes him just look so much bigger. But in the hat down low, like the hat low, it shades the eyes and everything as he's walking, and you just barely catch glimpses of his eyes and that purple under here. And I mean, it was all like, I don't think you could have done that character intro any better.
And for the person that did it, like you couldn't have put that with anybody else. Like that, like the Undertaker and Mark Calloway are one and the same. Like it was built for him. It was a general make and model of a wrestler that they wanted to put it on somebody, but then they put it on Mark, and he just took it to the next level. Absolutely.
Yeah, George, did you know that originally his name was Kane the Undertaker?
No.
Yeah, that sounded stupid, and then they took it away.
Yeah, it definitely does.
Yeah,
and I'm glad. I like how he like throughout the match he kind of just like stood in the corner, like he didn't like lean over it. He didn't like extend his hand out. People went up to him and he's just like,
yeah. He kept that face the whole time where it just showed no emotion, no nothing. That moment where Bret Hart comes off the rope and you see that choke slam.
Yeah.
Like, that
was kind of sloppy, but entertaining at the same time.
Yeah, but it was one of those moves where it's almost believable. Like Bret Hart coming off the rope and the dude just catches him with his own momentum.
And just chokes him, so it slams him down. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was beautiful. So yeah, that tombstone to Coco Beware looked kind of fucked up because like the Undertaker had to hold him from the bottom and he hits the tombstone, and then you hear Gorilla Monsoon go, he hits him with the tombstone.
Yeah.
It's like, the what?
It was fun. Obviously, he's still trying to figure out his finishing move, right? How to do it. It kind of reminded me of I put notes in here where it reminded me of when Triple H tried to first do the pedigree and landed a dude straight on the top of his head. Like it's just one of those weird. It's an awkward looking move originally, and then you perfect it as you continue to do it over and over again.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What'd you think of the tombstone?
No, did you catch where I said like the whole he'll never dance again thing?
No,
like
it's that. Oh. So for the listeners and viewers and stuff, my AT&T fiber decided it didn't want to work for a little bit, so we had a little bit of a hiccup there. So George, go ahead.
Well, I don't think the joke landed anyways, but like I just saw it out of the corner of my eyes. I was walking into the other room and I like made me had to like double take, and I was like, "Oh, he'll never dance again." But that's a pity. That's a pity laugh.
It was pretty good. No, because immediately like the song and then seeing the move like that kind of never gonna dance again. Yeah, that it was not a pity laugh. It was a shuckle. One thing weird though about this match, like they make the point about Dusty Rhodes coming to the WWF and them making fun of him and putting him in polka dots and whatnot. No polka dots in this match, though.
No, not at all. It was a serious Dusty tonight.
Yeah,
yeah. It was that weird trend. It's a good look on him because I remember the polka dots, but when I went back and watched, I was like, you don't have the dots no more. The little black lady doesn't come out with them no more. Sapphire.
Sapphire. I was like, oh, what's her name? Sapphire.
They made a little shift between pay-per-views, obviously. It looked good on them.
Yeah. It was much better. And I love Dusty Rhodes. Like his run in the WWF, like he had some good matches and some good rivalries with people in the WWF. I don't think it was a like wasted time or anything like that.
No, it's in this era, it's one of those interesting things, right? Like we have characters for the moment, but not all vying for titles, right? Like you have enough of a roster that can fill out the mid card. Always have some kind of consistent storyline going on, but not really have to surround it with a title to make sure it gets over. Like stories were on point, storylines were on point, characters were on point. The roster was loaded top to bottom. Like you had your tag teams, everybody had a good character build that they could play off of. And it was just enough, right?
Yeah, saying that this roster was loaded is almost an understatement.
Yeah.
I mean, like you're looking every single match, except for like one, every person on a team is recognizable.
Oh, absolutely. I think if you actually look at this even deeper, I think just about everybody on this roster, like everybody that's on this card, is actually in the Hall of Fame.
It's probably pretty close between like people who were actually like announced for the Hall of Fame and they do the legacy Hall of Fame inductions. So you may be right on that.
Oh, I'm looking at it right now. So Dusty. I was gonna say the only person that's probably not on here is the Undertaker, but I was there for that one. I completely forgot about that.
He went to the Hall of Fame. He went to the Hall of Fame 2 years ago.
Yes, in Dallas. I was there. It was
fun.
That's right. I cried a little bit.
I cried and peed again.
Yeah. 36-year-old me did the same things that 6-year-old me did. That's crazy. But yeah, you got Greg the Hammer Valentine, Bret Hart, Ted DiBiase, Dusty Rhodes, Jim the Anvil Neidhart, Honky Tonk Man, Coco Beware. Is Marty Jannetty in the Hall of Fame? No. That's probably the only one that's not on here. Jimmy Snuka, Shawn Michaels, Jake the Snake Roberts, Haku, Jim Duggan, Dino Bravo, Big Boss Man, Tugboat, Canadian Earthquake, Barbarian. Like,
I don't think Barbarian.
If they're not in the Hall of Fame, they will be in the Hall of Fame by the time.
I don't think Warlord or Barbarian are in the Hall of Fame.
That's true. Never mind.
Or
just about the whole roster.
The Orient Express, which we'll get to that here in a few minutes. But
that doesn't sound offensive at all.
Yeah, no, not at all. But hey, so let me ask,
and no context either. We'll get to it in a little.
Let me ask you all this. So they start talking. Gorilla Monsoon and Piper start talking about like food on Thanksgiving, and Gorilla Monsoon says, "Oh, and peanut butter pie." Do y'all know what peanut butter pie is?
No, that's probably a Midwestern thing.
Oh, maybe.
I've had peanut butter soup before. That's really good. It's a Nigerian dish. Like,
is that mole?
Oh, Black History Month.
I did fit that one in there, didn't I?
Boom.
Oh man. No, I got it. No, I have an Ethiopian friend that actually his mom when she comes into town from Africa, she'll make a big old pot of peanut butter soup, and it's so spicy and delicious, especially over rice. So good.
Is that that's not peanut butter pie?
That's what Google says peanut butter pie is.
Oh, that looks
pretty damn good.
Oh, let me see if my Google's is working the right way too.
I wonder if I can sous vide peanut butter pie.
Yeah, you sous vide these nuts.
I mean, I'll try if you want. It'd be weird.
Listen, peanut butter pie needs to be a thing now on all Thanksgivings, and I feel like Lathan can figure out a way to make it like a protein supplement, so it can be sort of healthy.
Oh,
hell yeah!
Healthy or unhealthy, I'm in.
Listen, I'll have it on standby, but I'm gonna tell you, I want to eat the unhealthy one a lot faster.
Well, did y'all hear in the show Piper kept calling Brother Love, kept calling him Blubber Love?
Oh yeah.
that one kept like,
okay, I have to say that I love Brother Love at this particular moment. Like Bruce Pritchard played him to a T. So I was watching it earlier in the gym, and one of my clients was like, "Who is that in the white and with like red face paint on?" I'm like, "Okay, now I have to explain the context of why he looks the way he looks." I'm like, "Oh yeah, I remember Jim Baker and like all these other random televangelists of the early '90s. They looked almost like that." And I remember Brother Love and how creepy he always looked, anyways, because he was just always red faced
yeah.
in a non-Indian way. I mean, Native American way.
Yeah, it was really funny. Like Piper's commentary throughout the show, I loved. I mean, his enthusiasm and his like one-liners were really good. You know, I really forgot though that Undertaker didn't win this match. I thought he like eliminated the whole other team, but again, this was another one where it's a count out.
Yeah.
Like, so second match in a row, we have DQ or count out. And he just kind of leaves on there. I don't know why. Maybe it's that Mandela effect, but I always thought that he went through the other team and he won.
Well, no, I mean, that's just the power of WWE and the way they produce things, right? It's like sure you can. We always whenever we talk about whenever Survivor Series '90 is brought up, it's for two things. It's for the Undertaker. It's for that damn bird, that Guac Guac Gooker or whatever his name is.
Well, if we hadn't earned the expletive badge on the show, we definitely just did there.
Yeah, but like it's just, but like, and that's how it's always narrated. It's just like it's the Undertaker. It's the debut of him. He's invincible. He's tough, and we always forget that, like, yeah, him and Dusty got counted out.
Yeah,
like 6 minutes into the match.
Yeah,
and they're looking up, and here goes Ted DiBiase bumping his ass all over the ring again.
But speaking of bumping asses all over the ring, that chest bump by Bret Hart, and I know we've talked about it before. God, it's so bad. I mean, bad as in like it looks painful. Like it's one of the greatest like turnbuckle things next to the Ric Flair flip out of the ring that is there. But dude, for this being a Thursday pay-per-view on Thanksgiving, the crowd is fucking hot.
Yeah.
Like they are in it. They are full buying into this show.
I don't know. It was the crowd really made the show back then. I made all the shows realistically. Like the energy that they had for everybody was super awesome. And it gave it a whole different feel and emotion to everything that was going on.
Yeah.
So, and it reminds me, like, the one cool thing I do appreciate about this time too is the lack of internet. Like, I think as much as I love the internet now and it helps keep me up to date on a lot of things I don't get time to watch like I want to, just not the knowing that if you didn't watch it, you would have to wait a while to watch it again, and just hear everybody else talk about it made you really want to just stay glued to it more enticingly to make sure that you were always part of the conversation.
Yeah, that's deep.
Yeah, well, it was fun. Like, and that's what I think. I think that was the one thing that really made wrestling in this time capsule feel even better and even more prestigious, because like you had to be there. You fucking missed out. unless you got VHS like 3 months later after it was in production. So
hell yeah, going down to Blockbuster and renting them in the VHS section of the store. That was what we did as kids. Me and my buddy, we'd go down to Blockbuster and rent the old pay-per-view. Now this was in like 98 when we were doing it, but we would go and rent like the old pay-per-views from the early 90s to rewatch them because they were stuff we hadn't seen. But yeah.
Oh yeah.
Different time. And you know, talking about like the internet and stuff and how quick everything is. Tonight was the press conference for WrestleMania 40. None of us watched it, but we've all been seeing clips online.
Yeah.
Nope. I've been avoiding them except for that one Cody Rhodes thing. But I've been avoiding everything. So you guys shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and hopefully for WrestleMania, we can at least the three of us get together the Saturday WrestleMania and do a, maybe if we get enough subscribers on YouTube, come on, we can do a live prediction show, which would be that'd be pretty wild. We'd probably get the channel banned doing that.
Worth it.
Last note about this match, it was funny. After Bret Hart got pinned, he immediately sits up and goes, "Fuck."
Yeah.
That made me laugh just seeing him just immediately like 1, 2, 3 sits up.
Fuck.
That was awesome. So let's go ahead and rate it. Lathan, give it to me.
2.7.
Okay.
2.7. It was good. Like, it was good for what it was in its entirety. It's just like, it was just so in contrast to the first match. The first match was a little bit more like high intensity, faster pace a little bit. Even for all the fuckery that happened in it, like it wasn't as entertaining as the first match. But I still love this match because it's the introduction of the Undertaker and some of his historical key marks.
Well, I have to go with a little higher, only because, man, it's hard because I'm watching it knowing what becomes of the Undertaker. You know, so I think if I'm watching it for the first time, not knowing what becomes of the Undertaker, it's a little bit lower. But for that alone, I'm gonna do a 4.2. I wanted to do 4.8. I wanted to do that, but I didn't like the DQ thing, which I know why they did it. They couldn't like destroy the Undertaker that quick if he gets pinned, or you know, they had to keep some mystery on what the capabilities or the unpredictability of the Taker would have been. But I don't know. I'm 4.2 at it.
Well, I'm gonna kind of split the difference on this one. I gave it a 3.9. Like it with everybody in the match, the story telling, Dusty Rhodes, Ted DiBiase, which we forgot to mention, almost the entire $1 million team advanced, right? And that was something. That was something too that I forgot to talk about at the very beginning of the show. Remember, we had talked about a Survivor Series last year. We reviewed a show, and I had said, I remember there was a time when they would take all of the winners and put them together at the final match.
Yeah, this is what reminded me of that.
Yeah. So, with everything, the match, I gave it a 3.9. I think that's by far one of my highest ratings. But we're gonna take a break really quick to let everybody go pee-pees, and we'll be right back in just a minute.
Welcome back.
Welcome to Too Hard, Too Fast.
Too hard, too fast.
Too hard, too fast.
Too hard, too fast.
Welcome to Too Hard, Too fast.
Welcome back. Too hard, too fast. Where we go off the rails and George has to worry about it. So here we go.
Find Too Hard, Too Fast podcast on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube.
Hey, welcome back to the show, everybody. And thank you to our person who puts a commercial in our show. Not a sponsor. So next up, we have the Vipers versus the Vision.
Randy Orton. Oh.
Yeah, which is funny because Jake the Snake Roberts, Damien, not a Viper. It's a boa constrictor. Yeah. Cobra. Versus the Visionaries, which I didn't catch the name at first, but like they started talking about it in the match, how the model Rick Martel had sprayed Jake Roberts, so he had like the milky eye. And so that's why their team name was the Visionaries.
I was wondering the eye.
Yeah, his milky eye was really off-putting. The way though that the camera looked at him with like that milky eye, it almost made him look like he had like a wandering eye. He looked like Crazy Eyes from Mr. Deeds, because they didn't really focus on that milky eye. It just made like you catch like the side glimpse, so it looked like it may have been pointing over here. But real quick off the cuff, Lathan, because you're a bit more of the wrestling historian than George and I are. Who the fuck is Paul Roma? Is he the guy who invented the tomato?
No. Paul Roma has a really interesting history. So Paul Roma used to be a Four Horseman back in AWA days. He's one of the rare. It's a rare transitional arc that he went through. Don't remember too much about it. The only time I remember Paul Roma is because when I was watching the Horseman documentary, they made quick mention of him, and like he was the worst horseman that they ever chose to put inside the group, even past Sid Vicious, which is really shocking to me, but it is what it is. But no, I mean, it's Paul Roma. It's not much to stand on or much to write home about. He was just there. He doesn't really, I don't recall him wrestling much in the late 90s for either WCW or WWE. But I just remember historically I've seen him in earlier 90s WCW stuff and like AWA stuff when they go through history.
That was what I was trying to remember, was if there was more to him than just because a lot of these guys back in this time, like you can look up their name and there's somebody else later on that is more well known. But yeah, Paul Roma, I had no idea who he was.
Yeah. Nothing to write home about, basically.
Yeah. Guy who founded the Roma Tomato. Great job.
Yeah.
He was the brother of the guy who had that Italian restaurant, Tony Roma's.
Yeah.
And
it had the sensational quarterback from the Dallas Cowboys for a while. Tony Roma?
That's Romo.
Okay, he made it a masculine name. That's fine.
That's like Mexican versus Italian. Come on.
Mex-Italian.
Speaking of that, how much drug use do you think was going on the Vipers this match?
All of it. And the entirety of it was going on. Before, during, and after. See, what you didn't see was when they were on ringside, they would just bump a line real quick while they were in the corner or something. Like it was
That's how they came up with the milky eye idea.
It's like, how are we going to get his eye to look milky? You just flick some cocaine in it.
See, what everybody doesn't realize is Jake the Snake's bag didn't have a snake in it. It had a whole bunch of snakes in it in the form of drugs. He just kept it on at all times. You never know when you needed a little extra pick me up for that next match.
Spoiler alert, they weren't snakes, it was drugs. But speaking of Jake, like, dang, he's just so good. Like, he was such a good in-ring performer. Like, I would seriously put him up there with some of the best of all time. Man, he was another one of those guys that it just seems like he had so many personal issues that he just it hindered his progression into what he could have been, you know?
Yeah. Oh, for sure. No, it's if for the viewers watching for context, if you ever get a chance, just there's a Joe Rogan interview he does with Jake the Snake Roberts that gives a whole bunch of backstory. Watch that in Dark Side of the Ring, and you'll try to figure out why this guy is still even alive, because it is a very dark backstory. But for all that being said, like, between those ropes, he was a whole different being that could control a crowd and command a crowd in just a different, weird way. I remember vividly at the time when watching, it's wrestling. It's not just wrestling. Everybody's got steroids running through their veins. Everybody's super jacked. Like, at worst, the lightest person on here is maybe 330 pounds of lean meat bumping muscle and stuff. But then here's guys like Jake the Snake, who does like a train of cigarette smoking before he comes out, as opposed to doing a set of push-ups. And it's like, dude, how do you still survive and live on a regular basis? Because it's just wild. Just the contrast of the wrestling performance. And so it's always fun watching Jake the Snake perform, man. It is always a sight to see.
Yeah, I was always a Jake Roberts fan. George, what about you, man? You liking the Snake?
Yeah, no, this is I'd never watched him, I guess, not live, when I was younger. But watching this stuff again, it's pretty interesting. I think this is the first time I ever really saw him like try to like get the snake to bite somebody, and it was like almost poorly done because it looked like he fell as he was doing it.
Yeah, and then which I'm glad you mentioned that, because it leads to another fucking count out. Like, Jake Roberts chases Rick Martel out of the ring, and they get counted out. Like,
yep.
They need to, I don't know. I mean, hindsight, whatever. Let's go ahead and let's rate the match. Lathan, go ahead, man.
No, fuck this match. It was horrible. I mean, it was middle of the road. It was entertaining for what it was. It's just, I think, to play like devil's advocate to these matches, I think this is like first or second Survivor Series that they did. So they're still playing around. Yeah, they're still playing around with how to make it entertaining and protect everybody. Because I can imagine at this time too, there's a lot of people that are like, "Well, what the fuck? I'm not going to get pinned by Paul Roma." Like, no, that is not. I'm not going to get pinned by a tall ass ginger with eyeliner on. Like, that's a hard pass for me right now. And so, ECDQ can at least give everybody some time in the ring, some exposure in the ring, and then get them out of there without completely fucking the character's facade that they wanted to do. And like, it's still, for most of them, they came off still pretty strong. It's just, it's a show in its infancy, working out some of the kinks and stuff. What really is baffling, I will say about this though, is I forgot how terrible Shawn Michaels looked with a blonde mullet.
Yeah.
And now to see him, and he has no hair.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually, I was going to bring that up. Like, if you had, me being right now, being 38 years old, if I were to watch this and you were to tell me, hey, one of the Rockers is going to go on to be considered one of the greatest of all time, multiple time heavyweight champion, multiple time first Grand Slam champion. Which one do you think it is? Like, looking at him, I would have picked Marty Jannetty easy.
He had the gift at the time, but he just messed it up. Like it was Marty Jannetty was just a combination of what the fucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the best way to put it.
He still is. Follow him on Facebook. He is still just a whole bunch of what the fucks.
Yeah. Bless his heart.
So, Layton, what do you give the match, man?
Oh, I give it a 3.
Oh, okay. That's not really middle of the road. You know that, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. I farted. It's more. If I was to be completely honest and fair with it, it's definitely like a 2.5, 2.4 match. Like it didn't really stick out to me. Out of the 3 matches so far, it didn't stick out. And for what's coming, it could have been. It was like, man, that was an alright match. This was that match to get some other people on the show.
Yeah.
So
yeah, George, give it to me, baby.
I think I'm gonna go 2.3. It was interesting. I like, the legend of Jake the Snake, which some people might say Drake is up for stealing that nickname.
Oh, ew. Gross.
Another modern day reference, baby. But I'm gonna go 2.4 just because I felt like the pay-per-view at this point took like a soft pause, like a restroom break.
Yeah.
That's fair. I mean, I gave it a 2.2. We're kind of all on the same page here. Jake's milky eye kind of freaked me out. Remembering that the DDT was a finishing move back then took me a minute to kind of remember, like hearing the crowd like DDT, like them cheering for a move that now is just in every match, and then getting another fucking bullshit DQ count out. It's 2.2.
Yeah.
So the next thing we have an interview with the Hulkamaniacs, which was just weird. Like, it was a weird interview, and I think Hulk Hogan just volunteered his whole team for Operation Desert Storm, but I couldn't be 100%. Like, I'm not, because Operation Desert Storm started in January of '91.
Yeah.
So I think he just volunteered his whole team for that.
Listen, if realistically, if they would have signed for Desert Storm, it wouldn't have lasted long. Hulk Hogan would just gave like 3 leg drops and then been fucking over.
I mean, it didn't last long to begin with. It was like what was it, like 18 days or something?
Yeah. It would have been over in 2.
Just Hulk Hogan and Typhoon walking down Baghdad.
Yeah. Toot. And here comes Big Boss Man on a tank with Jim Duggan sticking his head out the top of the tank with the 2x4. Oh!
It took me a minute with Hacksaw with the 2x4 with the yellow ribbons on it. I'm like, why does his 2x4 just look like a set of straight pigtails? But then, okay, you tie a yellow ribbon around the oak tree for, okay. I got it.
That's good. It makes sense. He made it make sense.
George, what'd you think about the Hulkamaniacs, brother?
I didn't pay attention to that part. Like, I knew I should have too. Like, as soon as I saw the 2x4, I was like, this is something I gotta talk about, or I gotta like listen to. But I remember like why I got distracted, but I got distracted. But I did. Oh, was this? I did catch the last part where he's like talking about Saddam Hussein. That I was like, I think that's where I caught back on to like paying attention because I was like, where did this come from? And I was like, oh, it was the 90s.
George saw Hacksaw's wood, and that kind of got his attention. Well, the next, so
I think what I was actually thinking of was like, oh dang, the Montreal screw job isn't gonna be the worst thing Vince McMahon did in wrestling.
Oh,
Zazam!
Bazinga.
Well, that leads into the next match. We have the Natural Disasters versus the Hulkamaniacs. This match was just like, do you remember what was it, WrestleMania 17, where they did the gimmick battle royal?
Yeah.
Like
they had all the old gimmicks come back.
Yeah, I think outside of like Hulk Hogan, everybody from the gimmick battle royal was on this show, but especially in this match.
Yeah. It was I gotta think back. Yeah, Jim Duggan was here, Big Boss Man, Tugboat came out.
Yeah.
The Barbarian didn't come back.
Yeah, it was just
he wasn't in the battle royal.
Full of gimmicks, but I made the
Dino Bravo couldn't be in it because he got killed. So
yeah, we're gonna talk about that. We're gonna talk about that here. We got a couple of things to talk about with him here in a second. But I made a note because I'm watching this at work and I'm like, why does Hacksaw Jim Duggan wave like my 10-month-old waves?
Arthritis.
Like he's like a whole body wave. Like that's how my son waves.
Oh my goodness. It's just Jim Duggan's always been an interesting character to say the least. Even especially in WCW in his older days. But yeah, I can see where remnants of that fell into this. I'm like, oh, he's done that all the time. That's his whole ass gimmick. Okay.
But like, Jim Duggan's not even a character. That's just fucking him. Like,
yeah.
That's just him. Like, I don't know how else to put it. That's Hacksaw. Like, dude is fucking legend, man. Where do you go from there?
He was working on something in the garage, and then all of a sudden said, "All right, I guess I'll be a wrestler now."
Fuck it. He's like, I got it.
He was building houses and just picked up part of a 2x4 and was like, so I'm going to use this as a gimmick in wrestling.
He's just staring at him for the longest time going, I'm a wrestler now.
Oh, man.
That's hilarious. Speaking of just taking your job and becoming a wrestler, Big Boss Man, how awesome was his entrance music?
Oh, dude, everything about Big Boss Man at this time was awesome anyways. Talk about art imitating life for real.
Yeah, dude was actually a correctional officer in Cobb County, Georgia.
Yeah, I was like, that's wild. He looked at a nightstick one day. I was like, I'm a wrestler now.
he was beating up a president going, I'm a wrestler now.
I bet I could do this to Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I just body slammed him through the table.
He just had a prisoner run at him and he gave him like the boss man slam and he's like, well, I quit.
Yeah.
Going to the WWF.
Yeah. I don't get paid enough for this. I'm gonna go wrestle now.
I'm gonna go get paid to do this.
Yeah.
And the whole time through the interview, he's just in the back going, I'm here.
Let me ask y'all, was it just me or did Hulk Hogan look smaller than he normally did?
He did. This is something I was talking about earlier too. Was they're starting to get smaller because they're having this. Like this is about the time where the steroid trial's about to pop off. Like
No, we weren't that close to the steroid trial. Well, because I think was it maybe because he did a movie.
That too. Oh, that is right. Sorry. I'm not in my right time space right now. He did go to do movie because this he was coming back because he just lose to Ultimate Warrior at the WrestleMania.
Yeah. So I just looked it up. The United States versus McMahon was in 1994. So we're still quite a ways away from that.
So the reason why he shrunk this first time was to get ready for a movie.
Okay. That's what I thought, because I knew we were pretty far off from the steroid trial. I figured it was a movie, but it was funny because he still had some grass up top, man. Like it was still he was still able to comb over.
Bless his heart. He had done Gremlins too. That's what he took time off for.
No, he's in that movie for like 30 seconds.
And still, he has to trim down for it. Because it's one of those things. Like even when you look at John Cena and when The Rock first did his first like stint in Hollywood, he had to drop like 40 pounds because he was too big. And so like it doesn't carry over the same way, unfortunately, on TV. But like these Hollywood execs will tell them to have to drop a surmountable amount of weight to make it look proportionate. But they don't care that he's like the greatest wrestler at this time right now.
I guess, yeah.
Probably.
I don't know.
And Suburban Commando, I think, is about the time for him
I was going to say, he wouldn't have dropped that much weight for just like a 30-second cameo in Gremlins 2. But yeah, Suburban Commando.
Would you drop that much weight for a cameo in Gremlins 2? It's fucking Gremlins.
Not when I'm already a celebrity. Like me, myself, now, if they were like, hey, we need you to lose 200 pounds, like, I'm going to look like Skeleton running around. I got no problem. Yeah, I'm going to look like Callista Flockhart. You want me to do that? But if I'm already a celebrity, like, no, I'm not doing that. But man, for who Haku is, he was gone quick. Like, I'm surprised how quick he took the pin.
Yeah, man, it's he's one of the rare ones that actually got pinned in this night. But I mean, it just is what it is. Like Haku, at that particular point, was Haku even still like that relevant? Because like he was King of the Ring of 88, 89? And then he was with the Heenan family, but he was like more of like the background muscle at that point. He wasn't like I don't recall like him having a bigger storyline at that time. And then he leaves for WCW about 2 years after this. Him and Barbarian.
Yeah. It was it was weird. And then we get another DQ in this match.
Yeah.
It was taking away, and again, we go back to like, I get it. You have guys who don't want to take a pin, who really shouldn't take a pin from certain people because all it's going to do is not help their character. But to me, it's kind of ruining the match, you know?
Yeah, it takes a little bit of the wind out of the sails when watching it. But yeah, man, like it still was a good match for what it was. You just have to kind of sometimes press mute and just watch the match and let it go out. Yeah,
I think Hacksaw's DQ was entertaining, but like, how bad would it have been if he would have gotten pinned? Like,
it seemed like an unnecessary DQ, and you're right. It was very entertaining with him just swinging his wood and mashing it against people and all of that. But yeah, if he had taken a pin from somebody, would it have really been that big of a loss for him? But let's take a second. Let's talk about Dino Bravo. George, are you very familiar with his story?
No, I don't even know who he is. Point him out.
So he's the one in the light blue trunks with the weird looking blonde curly hair.
The big buff Frenchie with the blonde hair.
Perfect. Do not know him.
So he actually was murdered. So he's Canadian, and supposedly the story was
wait. Let's just pause right there. You telling me that he's Canadian? Does that have to do anything with the murder?
Yes, it does.
Because I was gonna say
for context.
So he was murdered by like Canadian mobsters over smuggling cigarettes. There's a whole episode of Dark Side of the Ring about that situation.
Dang, like smuggle them into Canada.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, cigarettes.
Yeah, kind of crazy.
Canada.
Yeah. It's the little things at the time, right?
Yeah.
You didn't think cigarettes would be such a big thing, but apparently it was.
Hey man, you don't mess with the mob.
Smoking is bad, everybody. Just so you know, don't do it. Here's a PSA.
Smoking's bad. Okay.
Here's a ducking PSA. Don't do tobacco. It's wacko.
Don't do tobacco.
And if you do, duck yourself.
If you like tobacco, I got 2 words for you. Duck it.
Duck it.
I don't know.
We'll make a documentary about it.
So Dino Bravo takes the pin, and I hate to be the one to bring it up, but in our modern HD, dude had some skid marks.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, gross.
Like pretty bad. Like,
powder blue is not the color to wear.
No, it's like why do you have brown and green? Oh, that's not part of your trunks.
Oh, yeah. Maybe you got a letter from one of the mob bosses before he came out and shoot him.
Speaking of skid marks and Jones, go ahead, George.
All I'm saying, big arms make it hard to reach. Right, Latham? Oh! Sorry.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's why Lathan only owns black and brown underwear.
That's it.
I got T-Rex arms, so.
It's like doing George trying to take care of business is like Pee Wee Herman doing the big shoe dance.
Oh
man. Okay, so we have to talk about the moment where Big Boss Man at 330 pounds comes off of the top rope and fucking Earthquake catches him.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And makes him look small.
That was some big man meat bumping going on.
Dude, that was like slapping meat.
Yeah. Well, Earthquake, before he became a wrestler, he was actually a sumo wrestler.
Yeah. A very successful.
He was good at it.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, what a wasted talent that they put this man in like these terrible, earth destructive or natural disaster namesakes and shit. I'm like, just put this dude back in a fucking diaper and let him just slam everybody.
I don't know, man. I like the Earthquake gimmick. I think they leaned into it a little bit too far, but like him coming to the ring and doing that jumping where you can audibly hear the whole ring shaking. Like, I think it was a cool gimmick, but yeah, I think early 90s, they leaned into him a little bit too hard.
Yeah. And then, like, it's like, for me, when I look back and watch Earthquake in 1990 versus when I first got introduced to him as, what's his name in WCW? The Shark?
The Shark.
Yeah. I was like, it's a completely night and day contrast. And, like, that's the one thing I did take away the most from watching this pay-per-view is, like, half of this roster turns out to be early, like, WCW, like, roster that fills out after Hulk Hogan gets there. And so, but their movesets are different. They're a lot old, or not a little bit, they're a little bit older, but they move a lot older. And it just doesn't have the same feel. I'm like, half these dudes are just like athletic as shit and can actually get move and groove. But like, it's, it's clearly time has changed a lot between the decade in itself. But it was actually like, that was probably the most entertaining part about this was seeing them at their peak actually be able to wrestle pretty well and entertainingly.
And it was good. So we end up with another count out here, which I assume they're trying to protect Earthquake from taking the pin and everything. So okay, that makes sense. And was there any moment where we thought like Hogan wasn't gonna win? It's one of those like, Hogan's got a pose, pal. Like,
oh, of course,
he's gonna win, and they're building towards that Soul Survivor match and all of that. So let's what'd y'all think about the ending of the match?
I think it was all right. I mean, I don't think there was anything too memorable about it, at least for me.
It wasn't. Well, I'll second that, George. It's like, I don't really remember it too much. I just know it happened. And it's Hulk Hogan.
There were moments though that are memorable. So Hacksaw beating the shit out of people with his wood, Earthquake catching
throughout the match, but like the ending,
right?
Like that guy, he was, I don't know his name, the one like lion cloth looking.
Barbarian. That's a Barbarian.
Yeah.
Okay. Of course. Like they have a good back and forth. It was entertaining. But then, yeah, the ending, I don't really remember much of it.
Yeah. Other than Hogan has to pose. So let's go ahead and rate it. What'd y'all Latham, what'd you give it?
I gave it a 3. This was definitely more entertaining across the board. Like it was fun watching it because it brought back nostalgia from seeing some of these characters in their later years in WCW when I first got back into watching wrestling in like 95, 96. So for that, it took it to a different level for me to appreciate it as. And so, definitely a good solid 3.
Okay. George, what'd you think, man?
I don't want to feel like I'm copying, but I think a 3 is fair. Oh,
yeah. So the match itself, y'all are right. I mean, there wasn't a whole. I mean, there were moments to the match, right? Like you can't think back and think about the whole match being just really good. There were moments, like we said, Big Boss Man coming off the top rope and being caught by Earthquake. Moments where certain guys are interacting. Hacksaw Jim Duggan beating people with his wood, with his pigtailed wood with the ribbons and everything. So, I gave it a 2.5. So I think we're all kind of on the same page there with that. So, yeah.
And shout out to Bobby the Brain Heenan multiple times on the show, just coming out being a manager everywhere.
Well, if we're going to give him a shout out, Jimmy Hart's got to get the shout out too, because same thing.
Yeah, this is clearly like the era of managers, and they were managing everywhere. and Jimmy Hart too, especially because this motherfucker changed in between, like in between coming out and stuff. I'm like, dude, how'd you have time? Your dry cleaning bill has to be crazy right now.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So the next thing we have the interview with the Macho King wearing his candy cane on mushrooms outfit. And I guess kind of, talking papas about the Ultimate Warrior, and he wanted his title back and all of that. Reminding me how awesome Mean Gene was at just interviews, period. Like, the dude would antagonize the people he was talking to and just like almost make fun of them to an extent, but then never got his ass beat. So I really like this this little interview.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Mean Gene is definitely king of slight. It's absolutely, and it's so effortless and so funny how they put it together. I love the promos from Macho Man across the board, anyways. But when they were together, it was just like a weird, beautiful chemistry of just wordplay being exacerbated or presented in front of you. It's wonderful. But the promos in here, just in general, are speaking towards the promos. They're very in that '90s bubble, hokey and entertaining.
Yeah,
and like I was watching. I remember I was watching one of the promos from Hulk Hogan, and like I felt like I was 6 again. Like started doing the flexing and what I started saying it wasn't what you gonna do, and I'm like, okay, this is why I remember why I love Hulk Hogan. He said his prayers. He didn't take the right vitamins, but it definitely helped move the marker, move the needle to make me watch more. And so shit, yeah, like when Randy came on and him and Mean Gene went back and forth, I was like, chef's kiss of promos. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What'd you think, George? No, you're gonna be disappointed. I did not pay attention to the interview again. And I feel like I watched it, like I was like, and I know I said at the end of it, I was like, I didn't really pay attention to this. And then I thought about rewinding it. I was like, nah, I'll just keep going.
It was okay. I mean, it was a good back and forth between them, but it was building towards, the stuff going on later. It really didn't impact the show. So I can't knock you.
No.
Well, it's like, one of those things like you're paying attention, but you're not really paying attention. And then that's what I felt at the end of it. It's like when I reread the line 3 times and I still don't know what I read.
Damn, that's a good way to put it. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So the next match we have is the Alliance versus the Mercenaries. This was one that I really didn't enjoy, and we'll get into why here in a minute. But they introduced the Alliance, fine. They introduced the Mercenaries, and Sergeant Slaughter has started his Iraqi sympathizer gimmick. And just randomly, they're walking out to the ring, and like Mean Gene grabs Slaughter to interview him. And god damn, that interview with Sergeant Slaughter is fucking wild. Like Slaughter talking about the U.S. troops and we enjoyed turkey and pumpkin pie with no sand in it, and it didn't smell like camel dung, and then it President Saddam Hussein, holy shit, that dude went Vince told him, it was like, hey pal, we need you to be an Iraqi sympathizer. And he was like, say less. He dove into that shit, man. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, so let me ask you this, because I guess I should have Googled this earlier. Was Sergeant Slaughter a wrestler or the character wrestler before G.I. Joe, or did they make Sergeant Slaughter a character on wrestling from G.I. Joe?
So Sergeant Slaughter was a wrestling character before and during G.I. Joe, and then G.I. Joe used him as a new character. So
Okay.
they were independent, running together at the same time, and then G.I. Joe pulled in Sergeant Slaughter to be a character.
Okay, that makes more sense. Because I was trying to put the timeline together in my head earlier because I was talking about it, and I was like, which one came first, the chicken or the Sergeant Slaughter?
That was
I was like, I remember watching Sergeant
excellent question.
I do that sometimes. Had crack a couple eggs to make an omelet for that one. Oh yeah.
So yeah, this was one of those times. Like I had no idea who the people on Slaughter's team were. I mean, you had the Oriental Express, so not PC, wouldn't fly today. And then some random Russian. I had no idea who he was.
Oh yeah, Boris. Whatever.
You got to put some phlegm. Yeah.
Vodka.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was one of those that were like this is like the twilight of his career, I can imagine. Like, don't remember him doing much after this.
Well, I don't remember him doing much during this because he kind of Santino this match and like got pinned pretty quick.
Yeah.
This whole match was like they were standing gorilla, and Vince was like, y'all have 4 minutes after Sarge's interview. Go. And it was like pin. This almost seemed like just such a wasted match. And the whole time, Sergeant Slaughter's not selling for shit. Like people are punching him and throwing punches, and he's like,
Well, he's the embodiment of American superpowerism. Nothing can phase him, especially in 1990.
He was supposed to be Iraqi at that point, which I kind of missed. Iron Sheik. I don't remember when Iron Sheik joined up with him, but
that was I think that was 90. Going into WrestleMania, I think is when that was happening, or like right after WrestleMania.
Yeah, he just had General Anand with him.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I completely kind of glazed over this match. It wasn't much to say, wasn't much to see, wasn't much to talk about. Like it was kind of in and out. I think it felt like it was a match that just filled time on the card, just because they had to still meet a time frame on the pay-per-view time on the buy rate. But nothing that really made me want to stay more interested in it.
Which to me is weird because we are 2 months away from Slaughter winning the World Championship from Ultimate Warrior at Royal Rumble. So it's weird, especially during that time when there's not going to be a December pay-per-view. We're going, they're advertising January
Royal
Rumble.
Yeah.
So it was really weird knowing what was coming and him being in kind of this throwaway match, which again, this match ends in a DQ, but it made more sense on this one for it to end in a DQ.
Yeah. I can understand it a little bit differently. And why is everybody wearing camouflage paint? Sorry. I was watching the promo again for a second. And I'm like, here's Tanaka and Sato in the background. Bright red ass rose. Camouflage.
Yeah.
Like everybody's on board paint.
There's not a whole lot to this match. I mean, George, you got any thoughts on it, man?
No, the best part of this match was the interview that I actually paid attention to.
All right,
Mean Gene did set him up like perfectly. Was like, what do you have to say to the troops that are watching you right now? And kind of like really dug it in, and then
yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it made sense going into WrestleMania, the supposed death threats and different things that Sergeant Slaughter was getting, and his family having to move because of they did a pretty good job digging into the Iraqi sympathizer. So let's go ahead and rate this match. Lathan, what you got, man?
2. As in, I'm 2 through with this fucking match. Let's move on.
2 legit, 2 quit. Whatever. Anyway, George, what you got?
I give it a DQ.
Dairy Queen?
I'm gonna go
Steak
1 point.
fingers? You in a steak finger basket?
Steak. Oh, a banana split. 1.6.
Yeah, I'm with you fellas. I gave it a 1.9. I wanted to like it because I liked Sergeant Slaughter. This time I think he played a good heel, but I couldn't feel it. Wasn't feeling it. Not gonna feel it. As President George H.W. Bush would say, not gone dead.
Not gone dead.
All right, guys.
Oh, man.
So next thing up, we got to talk about it. And I don't know what it is. I don't know what the point was. We have the debut of the gobbledygooker.
Who was supposed to be the Undertaker, actually. Originally.
What?
Yeah. I talked to him about it. Okay, so for the people watching, I've had really interesting conversations over the years with the Undertaker as in my profession, and originally one of my first conversations were about this night, about what happened, about everything, and originally he was pitched one of 2 pitches. Like Vince called him and asked him about the Undertaker gimmick. But there's also in the lore an alternate universe where Gobbledygooker was actually supposed to be full on the Undertaker being hashed out of an egg. Luckily, we went with the dead man. And Chavo Guerrero Sr. got stuck with the Gobbledygooker.
So hold on, so I'm trying to wrap my mind around this because this is pretty insane. So was the Undertaker supposed to be hatched from an egg, or was
not the Undertaker
Calloway supposed to be another character who was like chicken turkey based?
The second one, not a dead man coming being hatched from an egg.
Wow.
Yeah. I was like, I can't imagine your big ginger ass ever being hatched from anything. I'm glad you chose the dead man persona.
Wow. I mean, it's not like
he was freaking. He said he was worried about it, that they had like reneged on like the character in itself because it's the debut. So we don't know what the character's supposed to be. But he went to the arena, he saw the giant egg, and he's like, I fucking hope I'm not coming out of that.
I mean, honestly, it's not like we're 2 or 3 years away from him being buried or being put in a casket and then like rising up like a fucking ghost. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities that he would come from an egg, but wow, that's wild.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah, it was funny.
But
fuck that egg.
What was the point of what was the point?
We don't know.
Was it supposed to be, and I know at one point Piper or Monsoon says like, oh, he's the new Survivor Series mascot, which, okay, I guess that makes sense, but damn, they invested a whole lot of fucking time in this turkey trying to get Mean Gene to dance in the ring.
Yeah, it just kind of all fell apart after a while. I don't like, and it's funny. It's sort of like it's them at the time trying something and not working out, right? And we just don't talk about it. We just, all right, it happened. We let it go. But in hindsight, because we're all older, we always have to ask, "What the fuck is the gobbledygooker?" and why the gobbledygooker?
I honestly, I really want to know what the original idea was. I get that it fell apart and it didn't pan out, but like, okay, what was the thought process behind it? Like, what was the whole idea of this creation?
Maybe it was just like a okay, well, whatever we thought we were gonna do with Mark, it's done. Let's just put a fucking turkey in there.
I mean, that's not a bad.
And what I'm wondering is who was the turkey and where are they now?
Oh, Lathan knows who was it?
It was Chavo Senior, Chavo Classic, Eddie
Chavo
Guerrero's brother.
Guerrero.
Yeah,
Dang.
Eddie's older brother. Yeah.
yeah, Chavo Guerrero Jr.'s dad, obviously.
Wow. And that lends even more to it. Like, why would you put somebody in that outfit who is so talented? I don't know. We're gonna have to do a deep dive, I think, into the gobbledygook at some point to like figure out, like, it's got to be out there somewhere about what the idea was, what they wanted to do with it, and where they wanted it to go. So last up, guys, we are down to the main event. We are on the Sole Survivor match. I thought y'all froze for a second. I was gonna say, God damn it.
No, I mean it's we're here. It's the main event.
Yeah.
It's
So we have the good guys. We got Hulk Hogan, Tito Santana, and the Ultimate Warrior versus a whole shit ton of people, including a group called Power and Glory, which I was a big fan of them when I was in elementary school, and they would come to my school and rip apart phone books.
Yeah. I remember that John Jacobson, the Power Team.
Oh, Power Team. Oh, I thought it was Power and Glory.
No, they were part of it. Don't get it twisted. That was a side gig. You can't convince me different.
They would.
Yeah, I remember. Dude, I remember coming to my church. They're like, "We're gonna rip up this super thick phone book for Jesus." And I'm like, "Fuck yeah, we are!" Yeah. Oh man, I was like, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah.
It's those moments and those characters that stick out that have created me the handsome husky body I produce today. I can't rip a phone book in half, but I can still lift a lot of heavy stuff too.
I bet you could rip a phone book in half.
Oh man, listen, I've saw the videos where there's this trick to it, and I'm like, I got this. I can do it. As a matter of fact, next recording, I'm gonna rip a phone book in half. Yeah.
Yes.
While eating Art's meat.
Yeah, with my bone in your mouth.
Yeah.
So everybody,
just
for
gonna
context,
be in the background.
for context, Lathan and his family came over for
Royal
Rumble, and I did a tomahawk steak, did a sous vide New York strip. So I'm gonna post it out there on our social media pages of Lathan eating my bone. So it's good.
George missed out.
Good stuff, good times. I know George was too busy with his real wrestling shit.
Yeah.
Amateur. He just growl at us.
I said wrestling.
Oh, Lathan had the joke of the night. He goes, "Fucking amateur." Good Good stuff. But with this match, like I've always been a fan of Tito Santana, but damn, he seems really out of place in this match, right?
Yeah, when you have Hulk Hogan and fucking Ultimate Warrior on your team, you look all the way out of place.
Like there was nobody else they could have put in this position. Well, I guess not. There was nobody else could have been put in that position where they could have taken the pin, been okay being eliminated to leave Hogan and Warrior in the match. So right off the bat, though, the Warlord gone, baby. He is eliminated. And it's another one of those moments where it's like, what's even the point of having him there if he's going to be gone that quick, just like George is gone that quick?
George, where'd you
Oh,
go?
These guys were staring at me from across the room.
Man, if you'd grabbed some Takis, I could have put on like the Mexican hat dance or something.
Never too late. Not too late.
But while I was watching this, I was finishing this up last night here at the house, and I was making a note about the Warlord. I wrote in my notes, I was like, Warlord gone. And I looked back up and I was like, oh shit, I had to rewind because like Tito Santana was then eliminated.
Yeah.
Like, oh. I had to rewind to see what happened to him.
He was just as relevant as he was supposed to be. In and out all of life.
Hey,
I feel like for a main event, this one was a little faster than most of the other matches.
Well, what confused me more specifically is why is it a 3-on-5 Survivor Series match all of a sudden?
Well, the way that they were doing it was because so you had the $1 Million Team with most of those guys won the match. So it was supposed to be all of the one team versus the other, and most of the bad guy teams won. So that's why they had more guys than the babyface side.
That's fair, but it also sounds like lazy booking, and they didn't put 2 and 2 together until the wrong time. And then it's technically 7-on-3 because Virgil and Slick's black asses are sitting ringside, just monkey shuffling around, having a good time. I am. This is going to get us canceled. I am so sorry.
Everybody, please go watch the YouTube channel to see the person who just said that. So that's why it's okay.
Oh, but man, it's first of all, I love Slick. Slick has always been like kind of one of my favorite like managers, and Virgil was just a. I'm still trying to figure out why he existed in the first place and for this long. But yeah, man, like it threw me off just to see the dynamic. Even with more of the heel teams winning, I was thinking they would at least split it right down the middle where it was still 4-on-4. And then, like, curveball, no, it turns into a handicap match of Survivor Series mode.
Yeah, but look at who is on one side, which is how Vince is gonna book it. He has Hogan and Warrior. Like he wants them to be larger than life. So they
are 2 people separately that equates to 4 people in totality.
Right.
I get it.
Right. Yeah. Am I the only one, like, in this match, I kind of paid more attention to Paul Roma, and every time they showed him from the side, I was like, oh, he looks like a pocket-sized Mike Rotunda. He looks like IRS.
Yeah. I don't want to say IRS, but, like, he did not fit this mold.
Yeah. He was way out of place. Him and Tito Santana, way out of place in this match.
Yeah. I'm like, how did Tito Santana was the one that made it out of this? But all right, it's okay. We're here now.
So we are at that moment, and I don't know if anybody out there had any thought that maybe the bad guys were going to win or something, but you end up the very end, the sole survivors of 1990 Survivor Series. You have Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, doing their pose off, doing their, oh no, let me hold the ropes for you. Oh no, let me hold the ropes for you. No, sir, let me hold the ropes for, like, God damn it. Okay,
Man, you're looking buff. Trying to get like you, King. Man, you looking swole, dog. Thanks, man. I've been doing my keto diet, man. What you benching now?
Oh,
Jesus.
All right, let's go ahead and rate this match.
No. Just no. Man.
Look, we've seen worse. Let's be honest, we've seen worse.
In reality, I should rate this in like the 2.4 category. But for as cheesy as it is, in my nostalgic heart of enjoying both Hulk Hogan and Ultimate Warrior as a child, I'll give it a 3.2.
What? No.
Yeah.
No. No. Dude, no.
Yeah.
No.
Dude, listen, you're at the highlight of both of their careers. It all goes down from here for both of them in different ways. Hogan has a slight resurgence. Sure, we'll talk about WCW in a different hat. But for WWE Hogan, WWF Hogan, this is as good as Hulkamania is getting, and that is a Death Star that's about to plop down from the heavens come like the next 2 to 3 years. Enjoy this pocket where we can enjoy Hogan as the Ultimate Warrior, and they both are pretty decent. Because newsflash, 1997 has something to say about this, and we don't want to shine up on it right now. Because we already talked about Halloween Havoc. This is horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. We know what's coming, but this, George, go ahead, man.
2.6. That's only because I really liked their celebration. I enjoyed it.
It's for the moments, Art. You brought this up earlier. It's for the moments.
Yeah. For the moments, I gave this match a 1.2.
1.2? You give Sergeant Slaughter more than that?
I did, because it had Sergeant Slaughter and the dude gave a hell of a promo.
That's fair. But the hell of a promo was the only thing about the match we gave a fuck about.
Well, but no, that's not true, though, because in that match, Sergeant Slaughter looked strong as shit, and we know in 2 months he's going to be WWF champion, and he's going to beat the Ultimate Warrior. So there's a little bit more. There's a little, to paraphrase Lathan's favorite thing, there's a lot of meat on that bone.
Well played, sir.
Well, guys, we are at the end of Survivor Series 1990. One of the best, I would say this is one of the top shows that we've watched so far. Thank you again, Nick, on Facebook for recommending it. Really enjoyed it. Let's give overall ratings for the show. We're going to go ahead and start with Lathan, because if I say George, he'll just interrupt before I can finish my sentence. So Lathan.
That's not true. That's not true. I want to say something real quick.
Lathan, give us your overall rating of the show, man.
3. I'll give it a 3. Overall, it was entertaining, especially for the time frame, and just enjoying a lot of the athleticism, the story builds, and some of the matches, and just enjoying it in general, because this is actually my first time watching it all the way through for in a long time. And It was fun. It brought back a lot of personal memories that kept me invested. And LJ watched it with me, so it kind of actually added a nice little tear to it too. And I was like, this is awesome. So yeah, 3.
Okay. All right, George, what you got, man?
I would give it a 3 point. Oh,
Was that a tripod?
yeah.
Wait, so is it a 3.0 or a 3.3 because that's a tripod?
Oh, it was actually gonna be a 3.4.
Oh. Nice. Okay.
Damn. All right.
Yeah.
Dang, I could see how that did not work.
I mean, if the 3.3 would have worked better if you would have just said yes because it's a tripod. So, well, tell us why, George. Come on.
Oh, Undertaker coming out. Yeah. It's the Undertaker for me. No, Undertaker, Ultimate Warrior, and Hulk Hogan. I don't really remember watching a lot of like the, what are they called? Shawn Michaels and Jannetty. What were they called?
The Rockers.
Yes. I don't really remember seeing a lot of their matches, so I enjoyed watching them. Even though there wasn't a lot that they did, it was cool seeing that.
Nice.
The beginning really sold it for me, I think, for sure. Like the first 2 matches, it definitely puts it in that 3 for me.
Yeah. So I gave it a 2.99. I agree with both of y'all with this, man. It was a good card, top to mostly bottom. There was some stuff in there I didn't really like. The whole bunch of countouts and DQs and everything, but I mean, really, top to bottom, this card is probably one of the most stacked Hall of Fame cards of anything we've watched so far. And it was overall just really good. Really good. I had a good time watching it. It brought back a bunch of memories. Watching The Undertaker's debut in the context of the whole thing rather than just like a clip of his debut was awesome. Watching, I mean, as dumb as it is, the gobbledygooker, it's become iconic, which maybe that's the whole thing. It's an iconic moment and thing now. Everything all together was good. So just shy of a 3, 2.99. We are done with Survivor Series 1990 for our February show. But fellas, you know what's up next, right? We have the March show to plan. And what do we have going on? Not this year.
Oh, Mania season.
We got Mania season, baby. We are on the road to WrestleMania. So I'm going to do something a little different this month. Normally we have 4 options that we throw in. I threw in a 5th option this time. So we are celebrating WrestleMania 40 this year. So on the wheel this month, we have WrestleMania 30, WrestleMania 20, WrestleMania 10, and WrestleMania 1. But for kind of a wild card, I threw in WrestleMania 2000. So let's spin the wheel and see where we land. Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
Come on, WrestleMania 20.
It is WrestleMania 30.
I'll take that one too. Not too bad.
That's a good one. We know the context behind that one, gentlemen, don't we?
Yeah. One of the only times that WWE was forced to change plans because of the fans.
Which it almost kind of seems like what's happening now. But we
Funny how history repeats itself.
and
Did
hopefully
you plan this, or
I did not. I cannot plan that. I put it for fair mode to just run it, and we get what we get, guys.
And it's a really interesting. It's actually ironic that we went from Survivor Series 1990 to WrestleMania 30 for different reasons. Like, we remember it for Daniel Bryan, but we also remember it for the one match and 21-0.
Yep. Let's
Yeah.
we gonna talk about it next month, guys. But real quick, Lathan, what you got coming up, man? Anything good?
Just a whole bunch of working my ass off and getting ready for WrestleMania.
Yeah, buddy.
Nothing
George,
crazy.
what you got coming up on the Too Hard, Too Fast podcast, man?
we're just going too hard, too fast? We're still keeping it going, baby. Subscribe to Too Hard, Too Fast, not to this podcast. I gotta have more subscribers than this podcast. I'm just saying. Just kidding. Do both. Do both. Do both. Do both, baby. You can cut that out, Art. That wasn't funny. I'm sorry.
No, it was pretty fun. I'm just gonna say the do both, do both. Well, hey guys, appreciate y'all coming on here, doing this again. Loving it. We're in the cockles of season 2. We got WrestleMania coming up, so hopefully we're gonna be able to get together and get a WrestleMania prediction show next month all together. But everybody at home, thank you so much for listening.
Big balls, man.
Go check out check us out on YouTube. Watch the video. Check us out on Rumble. Everybody, thank you so much, and we will see y'all for the WrestleMania prediction show. Holla at you, boy.